It's my honor and pleasure. I'm excited to introduce to you the owner of Memories in Time Photography, Cara White Winter. What's happening,
Hey,
Cara?
hi everyone. I'm good, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing great, doing great. Thanks a lot for being a guest on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. How did you get started in photography?
Well, I was really just a little kid running around my Kodak Hawkeye Instamatic. I was really proud of that camera. Matter of fact, I just found it a few months ago in my dad's house. I always just had a, camera in front of my face. And probably when I was like 14 or 15, I started to hang out at the Schiavone studio in my hometown of Kalamazoo, Michigan. And Al Schiavone's like, I can't have you just hanging out here. I need you to do something. So I started by shooting my high school football games.
Hmm.
And the season was over, I just kept hanging out in the studios. And I learned about posing and lighting and, all this stuff that makes great photography. And back then, it was all film.
Right.
So you didn't want to waste your film. You had better get it right within the first or second shots. And there was no like looking at the back of the camera to see, oh, is this good? You just had to learn.
Yeah,
So
yeah, no doubt. So, I mean, but obviously the digital cameras make it a lot easier. And but does that, change the perspective of what photography is? Because now are you finding out that people don't really need a photographer? They can just do it themselves because now they have that view of the picture before they can either keep it or erase it?
there are people who think, that photography is now becoming a do-it-yourself thing. But to know about posing, to know about lighting, to know the intricacies of shooting a wedding, that takes a true professional. And nobody who just picks up a camera, as we call an Uncle Bob, will
Mhm.
ever be able to do what a trained photographer can do.
Okay, okay. What's your favorite camera to shoot with? Nikon, Sony,
So
Canon?
here's the reality.
Uh-huh.
My film camera, the way I started, my first camera was 1981. I had a Nikon film camera
Okay.
and I used it for years. Then digital came along.
Hmm.
And when I was ready to buy my first digital, I went with an Olympus model because when I shot film, Olympus was considered a true pro company, a pro camera. So
Right,
I'm a photographer. I'm going to go with Olympus. It's a pro model.
right.
I bought Olympus. I bought the lights. I bought the, lenses. And then Olympus decided that they were going to go to the mirrorless system. And they stopped putting research and time into their mirrored brands.
Mm.
Crap, what am I going to do now? A lot of my local friends here shot Canon. And they're like, you'll really like Canon, you'll like the skin tones, you'll like the way it is.
Hmm.
And until you can build up your supply, you can borrow our lenses. So I jumped right in on Canon, and I'm still a Canon girl. I
All right.
am at the Canon mirrorless system, but right now my Mark my 3 works really great for me, and I love it. So
Hmm.
it's in the studio with me today.
Oh, awesome, awesome. And speaking of the studio, you are now in a new location. Am I right?
I am. I am in Mound, Westonka on the West Metro side of the Twin Cities.
Okay, and that's centrally like located from where you live, from the Arboretum,
It
and
is. So I use the Arboretum, the Minnesota Landscape Arboretum, for those who are like watching from other places around the country. Minnesota Landscape Arboretum is my outdoor studio space. I pay to be there because a true professional photographer pays to be at their location. So I pay to be there. I pay so that I can get my clients in there. And that place is 5 miles from my house.
wow.
My current studio, I'm 15 minutes away from the Arboretum. I'm 15 minutes away from downtown Wayzata. I'm 15 minutes also away from downtown Excelsior. I have Lake Minnetonka a half a mile away from me. This is just a really great location, especially for those clients who want to do both an in-studio and an on-location shoot.
Man, that's incredible. That really is.
Love it here. It's a great place to be. The people I share the studio with are simply amazing. You know, great.
Awesome. You know, when you first started out, were there some mistakes that you made along the way? And if there were, how did you overcome those?
You know, when you work for somebody else, they tell you what needs to be done, and that's great. But when you're suddenly out on your own and you have to design a website and you have to learn SEO and all the other intricacies of the whole social media shebang,
Yes.
there are things about my website I wish I would have done better. And 2 years ago, when I tried to go to a different website and a different server, I found out that a lot of people liked my first platform. So I'm actually back there.
Okay.
I'm learning about, I completely didn't understand hashtags and met and alt data, but I got that now.
Yeah, there you go.
I didn't necessarily value my services, so I didn't charge a lot. You know, you just kind of have to learn. So
yeah, the business aspect of running a business is totally different from, you know, what you love to do.
exactly. I wish
incredible.
I could just, you know, have somebody run the business side for me and just let me shoot and edit. Everybody else can do something else.
Yes, there you go. Do you have a crew or is it just you?
It is just me. I do have a couple of second shooters that I hire on for weddings, but for the most part, it's just me.
Okay. Okay. Well, you're in charge.
I'm in charge.
But what, of course, you know, during this year, especially, you know, COVID and other issues hit the nation, hit the world, and had its effect on just about every business. What were some of the things that you've done to stay afloat?
I know that a lot of people think that I'm silly and crazy. One of the things I did is I committed to a year at the studio. In the past, I've just rented studio space from a couple of people that I know as needed. This year, I decided I was just going to completely jump in. So I did. I do have the studio space that I leased for a year. I hope to go longer. I have revamped some stuff. I started to pre-sell sittings, mainly so I had some, you know, source of income. And a lot of, like I said, I sold like 10 to 12 sittings that are good until like the end of October. And it felt really good to have my clients get behind me and say, yep, we want to make sure that you are supported in this. So.
Great. That's pretty good. I mean, once you realize that, you know, your clients are just not people that you work with, but they have that care too. That makes a difference also.
Well, and it's been feeling good because I've had clients that have referred weddings to me and family portraits. So I've got a really good network in my past clients, and they come back to me every year, every 2 years for family portraits and, you know, graduations, new babies, that kind of stuff.
Right. Okay. That's a great way to do it. You know, you gotta, you know, stay afloat for a lot of business. I guess in a lot of ways, as an entrepreneur, you have to be creative.
Exactly.
So during that COVID-19 time, what were you binge watching?
Well, I've watched all 8 seasons of Game of Thrones.
Woo!
I watched Tiger King along with the rest of the world. I watched Love at First Sight, Married at First Sight. No, Love is Blind.
Love is Blind.
Stupid shows. Stupid shows.
Okay.
And I worked out a lot.
Okay.
I took a furlough from my side hustle, and the first day I didn't know what to do, so I worked out like 4 hours. 4 hours that first day on my furlough.
Oh, wow. Holy cow. You got a lot of energy. And,
Yeah,
as I,
I never did that again.
that's incredible. Because when I got on your Facebook page and, just browsed around, and I find you doing these poses, girl. So I know you work out a lot. Yes, that is your pose. Yeah. How long you been into like bodybuilding?
God, if I give the year, I don't know how old I am. I started lifting weights when I was like 16.
Okay.
I saw Rachel McLish. She was the first Ms. Olympia. Beautiful woman, and wanted to do that. I wanted to lift. I thought muscles were sexy on women. So there's been times when I haven't lifted, but for the most part, I've done some kind of workout most of my life.
Wow. Wow. So I guess like you didn't really have a lot of snacks, during COVID-19. You didn't really pick out on anything, did you?
No, I ate probably more peanut butter, but that was about it. Well, and I'm diabetic. I'm a type 1, and so everything, food, exercise, insulin, all has to be juggled. So
Right.
even though most people were in lockdown, I still had to be aware of what was going into my mouth.
Right. I can relate because I'm type 2 myself, and I'm guilty of picking out all the time. But I have a wonderful wife that will give me like the cutoff limit. It's like, okay, you had a few, that's it. And then, I gotta have the self-discipline of saying, all right, I had enough. Let me move on to something else. Let me get busy doing something.
Well, and so if I'm gonna pig out, it's like on steak, rare.
Oh,
I have this thing about Fritos. I did have like my first bag of Fritos probably like 4 weeks ago.
oh
I
wow.
can't say no to them, so I don't really keep. That's a trigger food. I'm like, ooh, Fritos, yum yum yum. So I don't
Right.
I don't allow them in the house.
Well, so what has changed in your style of shooting now that as COVID-19 restrictions loosen up? What changes are you going through and adjustments that you're going through when you shoot nowadays?
The hardest part for me is that I'm very involved and I'm very touchy. I'm a hugger. I like to shake hands when I meet people, and we
Mm-hmm.
can't do that.
Right.
And I see my clients, and some of them have been in my life for years, and it's hard not to hug them. And like with models and other clients, I have to basically have them mirror what I want them to do. So instead of asking them, do you mind if I touch you so I can move your hair? I'm now like, okay, do what I do. Put your hair on this side, mirror me. And that's been hard because I want to go in and, like help them adjust their necklace
Right.
or flip their hair. If I have their hands or the rest of their body exactly the way I need it to be, then having to say, I'm really sorry, you've got a loose hair that needs to be flattened down. So they're trying to figure that out instead of me just going, okay, here, tap, tap, tap. Oh, perfect.
Right.
So
There you go.
that's been the hardest thing. I mean, I once they're posed, I don't need to get really close to them. I can stay away from, I can stay in the 6 feet or
Right.
farther distance. It's just doing the whole pose setup. And with newborns, I'm trying to show parents how to do a tight wrap and how to pose and being in their homes as opposed to in the studio. So, life threw us a wrench. We're all just having to pivot.